Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm just a casual racer, and today I want to show off the longest track that Formula 1 ever raced at, and it's now available for Assetto Corsa by Italotracks. And that is the Pescara circuit, which was a 16 mile or almost 26 kilometer long circuit. Work our way past some of the standing traffic here, definitely taking a while to get off the grid. Interesting, I am using kind of a lot of the field as the default Maserati 6-cylinder and 12-cylinder. Interesting to see a little bit of a slow start for a lot of the cars, but yeah, definitely a lot of them are stuck behind this. So that's an interesting point. Hopefully that'll get improved by the creator. I did a manual install like I always do with all my tracks, so interesting to see that. Overall, this is an extremely long and extremely impressive track here by Italotracks, and we are talking, you know, the level of details, the amount of trackside assets that have to be created for a circuit of this length is, you know, tremendous. It's a tremendous amount of work. And so this circuit here is, you know, in my opinion, well worth the £5 cost of the circuit. You can go and get it over at Italotracks. They've also created the Napoli circuit for Assetto Corsa. And one thing that's unique about what Italotracks does is they actually create versions for RFactor 2 and Automobilista 1. And at least in the case of the Pescara circuit, for £5, you actually get both of those other versions included. So you get a bit of a bundle, not necessarily a bundle of tracks for Assetto Corsa or any one sim, but a bundle across multiple sims. So this definitely is going to appeal to a wider, customer base. More people in the sim racing community can enjoy this circuit, which I think is really cool and definitely kind of a unique thing that Italotracks is doing. If I'm going to be kind of picky in terms of the detail, and I've got to be trying to honest to you guys, especially being that this is a paid mod, the level of detail on this isn't quite up to level of, let's say, like Fat Alfie or maybe some of the other very best creators, but overall it is definitely still an above average, punching above most tracks for Assetto Corsa's kind of level of detail and things like that. There are a few sections that kind of lack some details, maybe get a little plain, but I also think that was kind of the nature of the circuit, or perhaps there just wasn't a lot of photographs and information for those sections. But overall, like I mentioned, extremely excellent track, one that I can recommend if you're into historic circuits or just interested in having, you know, the longest circuit that Formula 1 ever raced at in your collection. It'd be very interesting to take a modern Formula 1 car, for example, around this circuit, and I'm sure somebody's going to do that. Maybe I should do that. That'd be cool. Alright, we'll see if we can work our way up to the field here and catch some of these cars. We're in 10th position here. I passed a good amount of the grid on the start, and we definitely have quite a long lap. This is just going to be one lap race, being a long circuit, but definitely still plenty of time for us to work our way through the field. And I'm driving Historic Sim Studios' very early version of our BRM P25, which actually raced from 1956 until 1960 and did race during the 1957 season, although it did not actually make an appearance at the Pescara event. But it very likely could have. So it's, you know, what could have been is very realistic, you know, very possible that this car could have shown up and raced at this circuit. And so it being something that, you know, we've just been working on, and I wanted to take a chance to review and provide feedback to some of my team who are working on this project, and also get an opportunity to do a video, give you guys a little bit of a preview, and also throw it around a period accurate circuit. Sounded, you know, kind of like a perfect match. Work way through the mountain sections here. I've actually driven this circuit a few times in, I believe it was RFactor, the original RFactor 1. Drove this circuit, obviously a much worse version, and some of these corners in the mountains come back to me, and for sure the way the ending of this circuit does, with the long straight followed by kind of a quick chicane at the end before going into the start-finish area. And so that is definitely, some of those parts of the circuit stand out in my mind from the past, which is pretty cool. I've actually driven this, only done one other lap as kind of a warm-up before recording this, so definitely talking and doing it, hopefully I'll be able to finish and get a nice little race here. I was hoping I'll be able to catch some cars. I just got one on my tail. I haven't been able to catch any, really. So, and I have the AI on quite a large spread, but perhaps some of the slower cars were the ones that didn't get off the grid there at the start. There are some cars up ahead of us here, so maybe if I can push here for a second. I think up here, some really nice details as we come into the city, so if we can push Perhaps the AI will be a bit slower through some of these technical sections in the city, quite dangerous sections, and we can make up some ground here, hopefully. Get down at first, throw it through this corner. Definitely such a long... I will say this about Pescara. Generally, a lot of the corners, you can see them coming, and you can kind of... There are circuits that can be difficult to learn, especially when they're of a really long length. I think Pescara is relatively easy to learn for its length, just because you can see a lot of the upcoming corners and generally have a nice feel for how the circuit is going to go as you're driving. Driving along here. This is a really cool, you can see off into the distance, really nice view off to our left there. Fly along this mountain road before we get to those long straightaways, and it's just going to become a horsepower race, you know? I think this circuit also, and it did host a lot of, you know, this racetrack was raced at from the 1920s up until, I believe, 1961, and this circuit hosted, you know, sports car races, minor Grand Prix events. Hopefully those did not have collision effects added to them. Fly up here. I think we'll have a good view off to our left again, if we can see over it. Woo! Just lost the rear there. Down. Come on. Trying to push, trying to make up some time here. Get caught up to some of these cars ahead of us. Yeah. Here we go, into the town. I see some cars ahead of us. Pushing, pushing, pushing. Fast, fast. Go. Catch up, catch up. Here we go. And we've got some cars to overtake. Through this hairpin. This is a really cool section. This city right here, the church, and this hairpin here. Under the tunnel, under the road. Bridge. Go. Twisty technical section for sure. Definitely a unique circuit too. That just because a third of it is so technical, and then you have 2/3 of it that is just practically, you know, horsepower race, slipstreaming, and all of that. Into 8th. We definitely want to get up into 6th for the points back in this era. See if we can maybe do that. It's right there for a grabbing. If we can pass these two cars, we'd get up into 6th and grab that last point in the championship standings that they had in the 50s. Here we are onto the long straightaway. Flying along here as we take the advantage. Maxing out here soon. In that 6th position we wanted. A little bit of a kink here. I think he's coming back on us. A bit of a slipstreaming duel, I believe. Redlining. Risking the engine. It's a one-lap race. I think we can risk it. Pedal the metal. Let's see what we can do. Flying along. Yeah, this is impressive. Like, when you're at this speed, flying down these straightaways, I think this would be a lot of fun, too, in some sports cars from the 1950s. It'd be really cool to do this circuit at, or even early 1960s sports cars. Will be a lot of fun with the way you could have a slipstream battle and things like that. Come to the end of this stretch, and it's going to go straight on to another long straightaway here. So got to make a good exit out of the hairpin, or 90-degree right corner here. Shift down into 2nd, into 1st. Redlining a lot, but trying to get the most out of this BRM. I believe this is a 12-cylinder Maserati, so it's got a little bit more on me, while that, I believe, is probably a 6-cylinder. So we've been able to pull away from that one, but we're definitely having to hang with this car. If we can hang with it into the final kind of right-left box chicane that concludes the lap, we could have an opportunity to pass it and get that final point here. This is also one of my favorite parts of the circuit. I love the mountain section, but this trolleyway or this railway here with the electric power lines and the sense of speed you get when you're flying past it is really, really incredible. Definitely one of my favorite parts of the circuit for sure. I mean, you fly past some of those buildings there. The sense of speed that we're getting right now is really insane. We're going 165 miles an hour. It's not like we're going 200 miles an hour, but it feels as wild as anything done. The road is bumpy. One thing I will say, the texture work, the mesh work on this track is excellent. So much detail, and it's not like, I want to say it's like certain points. No, it is, oh, crud. Oh boy. I got way too, and that would be it. I got way too into talking about the mesh work for you guys. And, this is what I meant by the box chicane here, though. Totally was trying to describe the mesh work. I had my left hands moving around. Anyways. What's the point in there? Come out of the corner here. And yeah, but my point is, like, these patches, and you feel the road. It is excellent done, and that is the entire 16-mile length of this track. Has an incredibly detailed and good mesh work, so you get an excellent driving experience. We come around here to finish this lap, or perhaps we crash at the very end of this race. This is a circuit by Italotracks that I highly recommend that you guys can check out and download, especially if you're a historic fan and you love historic content for Assetto Corsa. This is one that I think you should add to your libraries. But even more so if you're a Formula 1 fan, this is the longest Formula 1 track that they ever raced at. And so I think that's another reason to add it to your library as well. Very good job by Italotracks. Definitely give a thumbs up for this one. I would say also, too, if you're an RFactor 2 fan or Automobilista 1 fan, this is also an option for you guys as well. So definitely check this one out. But most of all, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week.